I've been wanting to do something like this since we got into O-gauge trains back in winter of 2023. At the time, I wasn't even sure if such a thing would be possible, but as it turns out, if you want something badly enough, you'll do whatever it takes to get it done. Today on Datafied, we're going to introduce you to a friend of ours and how we managed to make one that'll fit around the rails of the second-hand overland. This is our custom-built Big Boy number 4023. For those with a keen eye, you would have noticed a Lionel scale size Big Boy with this same number that was on our rails in a recent video, but due to its mammoth size, we're not able to run that one normally around here. Our railroad does have curves as wide as 072 and even 084, which the scale will do without too much of a problem. But the rest of the line here has 060, 048, and even some 036 in our switch yards, so I was only able to film it running on these limited sections of track before having to stop rolling film, reset, and continue. Movie magic. But for those with an even keener eye, you may have noticed near the end of that video that a slightly smaller 4023 was leaving our switch yards. You might not think much of it, but for my son and I, those four numbers mean a lot. Because this is the Big Boy that welcomes people into our city. Perched atop the southeast corner of a hill overlooking the Missouri River is Kenefick Park, which is home to two giants of the Union Pacific, DD40X Centennial number 6900 and 4884 Big Boy number 4023. In fact, 4023 has a neat story of its own. Before its retirement, 4023 had received an intensive Class 3 overhaul in 1957. So in 59, when the big boys were taken off the line making their last runs, 4023 was in the best shape of them all. To that end, 8 big boys were saved from scrap and sent to different collections and museums across the U.S. But 4023 remained at Cheyenne in the roundhouse, sitting next to 2 other familiar locomotives. Union Pacific's Challenger number 3985, which would later be restored to operating condition and run in excursions in the 80s and 90s, as well as the living legend herself, 844. The 3 of these engines were brought out on display in 1963 for the National Railway Historical Society Convention. Over a decade later, 4023 was cosmetically restored and sent to Omaha, Nebraska to be displayed in front of the UP locomotive shops. When the shops were closed in 1988, it joined DD40X Centennial number 6900 at Kenefick Park, which remained near the site of the shops. But this isn't the Kenefick Park that we know. Union Pacific had much bigger plans for their 2 biggest locomotives. A new site to display these atop a hillside overlooking Interstate I-80 was being built. But the journey to this new Kenefick Park would not be an easy one, as Big Boy 4023 was rolled to a siding behind the Durham Museum, which actually used to be Omaha Union Station in a previous life, and loaded onto a crazy custom-built flatbed to be driven by truck to the site. To date, it's the only Big Boy to have ever been transported by truck. Everything else has been rolled on the rails. And it's quite the sight to see as you roll into the home of Union Pacific here in Omaha. It is a little sad to know that 4023 was in such great shape before it spent the rest of its life on display here in the Midwest, as it likely would have been the best candidate for restoration when UP decided to restore 4014 for their 150th anniversary of the Transcontinental Railroad completion. But I suppose if they had done that, my son and I wouldn't be able to come up here once a month and say hello to our big friend. Now then, back to this O-gauge version. It might seem like I just threw some numbers on a Lionmaster Big Boy that can traverse our tighter corners and called it a day, right? Nope. There's a little more to this engine than a simple renumbering. While this is a Lionel Lionmaster that's designed to tackle tighter turns, the unit we renumbered is actually legacy equipped. From the 2008 Lionel catalog, these locomotives feature road number specific crew dialogue, quillable whistles, and a really nice set of sounds that mimic the out-of-sync chuffs that articulated engines typically have.
All right. This is 4023. Are we clear to move? Over.
But if that's true, then how did we get the crew talk right? A simple renumbering would mean the dialogue wouldn't match up to it, right?
Roger that. Yeah, I see that block signal. 4023. Standing by. Out.
Well, that's where that scale 4023 that we ran comes in again. The friend I borrowed it from let me test out a theory that I had, that the sound card in this older JLC model would be able to swap seamlessly with the one in my Legacy Lionmaster. So I tested it, confirmed that it worked, found a chip that we could use in this one, gave him back his, and buttoned it up. I was actually surprised that most of the sound effects used are identical between the scale JLC and this semi-scale Lionmaster. At first, I could hardly tell there was a difference. Once I got it buttoned back up, it was time to tackle one more element to put the cherry on top of this little project. When the big boy locomotives were first made, they had two sets of radiators fitted to the front pilot just below the handrails. However, this location proved to be inefficient, so they were relocated to a radiator pack that sat just ahead of the headlamp and behind the shield on the pilot. Union Pacific would build their last batch of 5 big boys, number 4020 through 4024, with this improvement in place, while the earlier 20 locomotives would be retrofitted with the new system. So while it's fine for big boys 4000 through 4019 to have really either setup in their model format, it's technically not correct to have radiators on any of the final 5 that were built. And that's always been something that's bothered me with the semi-scale version. So I thought if I was going to go through the trouble of making our own 4023, that I'd do it right. After cutting the radiators off, I sanded the pilot deck, removed the original handrails, made my own, bit of a pain in the butt, and painted them to match. While I was there, I also renumbered the only item left that I couldn't renumber with the waterslide decal set that I'd used, the shield. I've fudged plenty of numbers on railcars before, but trying to have a steady enough hand to repaint the 2 and the 3 took a little bit of patience. I think I got it right, though. With everything buttoned up, there was only one thing left to do: show my son the finished product.
All right, well, it's like 12:30 in the morning, and I've been working on Big Boy 4023 here pretty much all evening, trying to make sure that it's all good to go. Did some test runs, things are running fine. It likes to cut in and out of the audio every now and then, but I had that problem before. I thought I'd gone through all the wiring and figured it all out, but it's good enough to run tomorrow, so excited to see what my son thinks of this. It's kind of like going to bed the night before you go on a big trip. You know, you're excited, so it's hard to sleep, but I wonder if I got bags under my eyes in this video, but I am dead tired, so we'll have it here on the line and see what he thinks of it in the morning.
Let's do this.
Press the number 2.
4023 here. I've got my consist together. Am I clear? Over. 4023, you are all clear. Over.
Is that another 4020?
Copy that. 4023 is cleared outbound.
Is that
Out.
Why is he here?
Because he lives in Omaha.
Oh, and now we are. Is he staying here?
I don't know, what do you think?
Yes? Is that a yes?
Maybe. Okay, turn that switch for him.
Yep, I'll turn the switch. Okay.
Try the whistle.
Hey, what's on there?
It does. What do you think, buddy?
Great! Now we have 4023.
We do!
Yeah, because it's up at Canada Big. Woo-hoo!
Are you excited?
Yes.
4023, you are all clear. Over. Thank you, we are clear. 4023 will take the green.
I've had enough folks ask, why do you have so many big boys? And aside from the fact that this is my son's favorite locomotive, I've actually pared things down just a tad. In fact, to begin with, the JLC 4023 was never mine to begin with, so that one went home to its owner after my filming and testing was complete. 4011, the only semi-scale big boy with whistle steam, had a brief life here on our rails. Actually found a new home with another friend, but I'll let them tell their story later. 4014 is still here. Of course, we can't get rid of this one. We've made our visual tweaks to make it look like the real one that's out running excursions all over the UP system, and I might even update its pilot and handrails now that I've done it once already. But 4023 is actually our first big boy. When I got started, I managed to find a partially disassembled Legacy Lionmaster big boy whose number was 4006. So I repaired it, got it running on our rails, and we loved it. But I had some wiring issues come back to bite me, and while I had it open on the workbench recently, I got to thinking about this project. Especially considering that 4006 is one of the more common ones to find the Lionmaster for, it seemed like the safest bet for renumbering. I didn't want to renumber something that was super rare. It was just a bonus when I found out that we could also get the sounds right on this. So our roster finally has the two big boys that are most important to us. 4014 for famously running today's heritage wherever it goes, and 4023 for the one that we love to visit here at home. That'll be all for Datafied today. This one was quite a bit of fun to do because it's one part custom model review and one part history lesson, and I like that. Hope you did too, so leave a like, let us know what you think down in the comments, and subscribe if you haven't already. We've got a lot more in the works, so stay tuned. We'll see you on the next one.